everybody, to the Pennsylvania High School Football Report podcast. I'm Brian Linder. I'm here with old head Eric Epler. I'm an old head too, but Eric, how's it going this week, my man?
Good, Brian. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. And Dan Sostek is back, returned from the beach.
He is.
Dan, how was the beach? Real quick, what beach did you go to? How was it?
It's one of those where you don't know when you're in Ocean City and when you're in Delaware. So I'll just say Ocean City because it's bigger.
You were about to say I don't want people to know because paparazzi would show up. That's exactly what you were going to say.
I may or may not have been at Secrets one night, so I don't want anyone. Did get a message from Nebby saying I love Secrets. Our old worker Nebby Isaias, so he's or at least I got that stamp of approval.
You know, Nebby hadn't returned the last couple of my texts. What's up with that, Nebby?
I think he's in Harrisburg today. Just go chase him down.
I figure you might not want to reveal which beach it was because it was one of the ones that got, put on the fecal matter list last week. You're out there splashing around in the fecal matter.
No, it was one of those weeks where I was telling that where you're about to leave for the beach and it says every day's got a 25% chance of rain. And it just rains one day and you're pretty good. But the day it did rain, we made a mistake. We decided to play some spike ball in the lawn. And the next day my leg was completely covered. Both my legs were just covered with, I don't even think they were mosquito bites. They were, like sand fleas or something. But, so I've been battling that for this week, but I'm back.
Could have been a rash from stomping around in the fecal matter.
Yeah, I don't think it was that. Although there was some deer poop, but other than that, we're all good.
It's that's Secrets water. It's you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's scary.
People do some weird things in the Secrets water. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
Great to have you back this week. No use for us to discuss the movie Friendship. We went over that in detail last week.
I have no interest in trying to sway you. So.
Most folks have probably already forgotten it ever existed, and good for them. I posted about it on Facebook. Go check it out, folks. My mom chimed in because, my friend Ronnie told her to watch it as a joke, and she did. And very bad movie, Dan. Very bad movie. I don't want to go down a sword.
I mean, I'm not even going to respond because I don't really care what you think's a good movie after your two for the money recommendation.
After your two for the money, he's got there.
Two for the money's fine. Two for the money is fine. Two for the money is a masterpiece. It is Hubert, compared to whatever this is that Dan told me to watch.
Completely agree that Matthew McConaughey could be a division quarterback.
If people can't tell, Dan and I have not. I thought Dan, speaking of friendship, I thought we had a friendship, and then Dan told me to watch this movie, and now we got heat. So
it's not even like my favorite. I thought I had a good time. Saw it in the movie theater, and the entire movie theater was laughing. It's a good time. Better than the new Wes Anderson movie, which I didn't like that much. But
what was that?
The Phoenician Scheme. It was okay.
Oh, I started it and turned it off. Kind of weird.
With a Mercersburg Academy alum, though, as the lead.
I realize that.
Benicio del Toro.
Kind of weird movie. Anyway, all for the movie section today. What else we got going on? What's going on in the football world? I know we got the Mid-Penn Media Day fastly approaching. End of the month. Next week, Micah Parsons is having his community day here in Harrisburg. Big day there. He comes in, sets up, host a whole bunch of Harrisburg kids. They got to be from Harrisburg, but if they're from Harrisburg and they signed up in time, he brings them in and they camp for free. And he goes out there, and you guys have seen it. We had him mic'd up last year. He runs around and plays with those kids. And then his sister Shatara, who actually played professionally a little bit, is hosting a girls basketball camp Sunday. So that's sort of some big news in the community. We've actually talked to Micah. We may have an emergency podcast where he pops on here before then. So keep an eye open for that. He has said he would do it, but he does have a busy schedule. So there's that coming up. But what else we got going on this week, guys?
It's kind of the doldrums of a little bit. We're working on a couple fun projects that I think football fans will be in there he'll be excited to read about. Apparently some of the communities kind of found out about what we're trying to work on a little bit. But I think we're still trying to.
They've already posted it on social media, my man. I think you could probably talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think Ep has kind of been put in charge as our senior football guru, is compiling the 25 best football players of the last 25 years in the Mid-Penn, which, all these sports, we're all assigned multiple sports. These are all going to be very tough to kind of narrow down. But football is especially tough because there have been so many great players that have come through. And
that's always the case when you're dealing. People always say, "Oh, you always say it's a tough decision because they're angry or they think maybe a player or two should have made it on the list." But just think about the list of guys, football talent that we've had over the last 25 years, and to narrow that list of 25 that's just a bear. It's an absolute bear. You could probably, I don't have the final list before we start whittling it down yet. But I'm guessing it's going to be well over 100, 120 maybe. And then we're going to have to start nitpicking. Yeah. But we're really, the thing that I like about this and the thing that obviously makes it a little bit more difficult too, is the fact that this is really high school driven. This is about, what kind of careers they had at the high school ranks. It doesn't necessarily mean that a guy who went on to play a couple years in the pros, you had a good, solid college career, or maybe got drafted. It's not necessarily about those guys. There's going to be guys on the list that have done that. Obviously, if you just sit down for a couple minutes and start working out on your fingers on who was just unbelievable in high school. You're going to come up with more than 25 guys. Yeah. So it's going to be a difficult task to do that. I'll come up with the initial list and then we'll sort of collaborate and whittle it down. But like Dan said too, it's just not just football we're working on. We're working on multiple sports. So there'll be some tough decisions to make.
And heck, if any of our listeners have a suggestion, feel free to
sure.
I think we're going to collect after we release ours. We're going to have a sort of at least I think the plan is to try to have some sort of interactive readers poll or something where we let readers pick as well. So, but we're always open to suggestions. I know for a lot of the sports I'm working on, I've only been here for about 4 years, so I'm reaching out to every coach that's had a ton of experience, of old writers, things like that. But it's a fun project. 2025 you only get the 25 year once. So it's a fun little project. I'll hopefully just get people talking. No one gets too mad. Everyone kind of understands, the task at hand. And it's just to generate, it's more to appreciate, the best of the best in the area, because there have been a lot.
It's always get excited. I always like to do things like this. I go back and look over the old all-star teams from past years on PennLive and stuff like that. And I don't think people realize how it can be complicated too. Like I mentioned, like if you're just basing it off high school, you got to think about there are guys who were like high-ranked prospects and got injured, and didn't play a lot in high school. I know we did the all-decade stuff. I put that together a couple years ago. And that was tough because, I had guys who were legitimately like really good, but they only play like 1 year in the decade. So like, how do you weigh that versus a guy who played 4 years in the decade? You know what I'm saying? That made it really tough.
And then you're also weighing classifications too and things like that. And it's basically like the all-star stuff on steroids, where it's like you have to take into all the context you possibly can.
But the fun thing about it, and what I tried to tell people even back then, and what you'll see from this 2025 is the discussion it does spark. You go back and you remember guys who maybe you wouldn't be talking about. You go back and you look at guys who were really, really good and remember those good stories. So you know what? Even if you look at this thing when it comes out and you think somebody was like should have been on there, or it's like a glaring omission, everybody thinks, oh, there's this is, invalid because this guy should have definitely been on there. You always get one or two of those too. Well, you know what? At least you're talking about them now, and that's good too, and that's fun to do, and remember people too. But yeah, real quick, looking back over 25 years, now I've been here almost, I guess, about 9, which time has flown. Actually, I think my wife said we're closing in on 10 years. Somehow, time has flown. You've been here, what, 27 now?
29, yeah, almost, yeah. This is my 29th year.
So, like, who are your top 2 or 3 guys off the top of your head, real quick? Who if you like, who would be in the running for the best player you've seen in football in the area? And then we're talking just like Central PA.
Yeah, well, you're just talking like straight guys who just simply dominated.
Yeah,
Obviously, Micah Parsons is right up there near the top. If not the top. We always talk about, when we mention Micah, we always mention about him just being a freak athlete. And, I think he showed how dominant he was when when they put him in the backfield and he dominated as a running back. When you're thinking, okay, maybe put a guy that size at fullback to kind of lead the way because he's a good blocker, or you shove him out in the flanks to kind of cut down and create an edge. They put him at running back. And he was outrunning guys and beating guys to the corner. And, you just don't see that from guys his size.
Yep, just to throw something in there real quick.
Yeah.
When I was sick, I had cancer. My wife went to a couple games with me out at Severance. And she went out at Severance. She would go, like when they played in Ohio and I went down there, she went with me and sat in the stands just in case I had an emergency because I was really sick. And down on the field at Severance. So she was there and she saw Micah play and she texted me third quarter and she said, "This is child abuse." And I said, "What?" She said, "As hot as it is," which, by the way, she wasn't on the field at Severance, so it was even hotter. She said, "He hasn't come off the field." Now, not only did he play running back and defensive end, he also punted, kicked, and returned kicks. He never came off the field.
Well, that was the thing. And like I think he had the one game, I think he had 3 touchdowns. And I don't know, he might have had like 4 or 5 sacks in the game. And then, and Harrisburg was up big. I forget who they're playing. It might have been Chambersburg that they were playing, and they were up big, and it was at Severance. And he was begging Coach Cal to put him in so he could kick the extra point.
Well, he kicked the extra point.
There's like a minute and a half to go. And I forget the D-back who returned the kick, for a touchdown late. And like I said, the game was out of hand. And I'm just thinking, Jesus, like,
he kicked extra points. He punted.
Go sit down.
He kicked off. He returned the kick. It was like Micah would return the kickoff, Dan, for 80 yards, which I know you saw him, and score a touchdown, and then come back on defense, get like 2 sacks, and then, the next series have like a 45-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, I mean, there's just certain football players that look like they got like the invincibility star in Mario Kart and just can, do whatever the heck they want for 20 seconds at a time.
And after the game, my wife also said it wasn't fair. She said, and she'd seen other guys who played in the NFL play in high school, and so she said it looked like an NFL player playing against little boys. But anyway, so that's the Micah Parsons. Who else you got on that list, Ep?
Well, one of the most sort of dynamic athletes too was Ben Dupree, who was a quarterback at Susquehanna Township, went on to a really, really solid career at the Citadel, and actually played overseas. The reason he didn't move on to the NFL was because he's literally 5'8", and it just, but still to this day, I would say he was the most dynamic athlete that I saw on a football field. Obviously Parsons is right up there too.
I was getting some nods from the basketball coaches too. I mean, apparently he was a good basketball player as well.
Yeah, he just could do everything.
I knew Ben Ep from living in South Carolina and reading the Post and Courier before I came up here. So, like, Citadel maybe isn't big nationally, and their football team wasn't great when he was there. But, he was a very good player for them. He got a lot of press down in the low country of South Carolina at Post and Courier, which is one of Pulitzer, because he was this 5'8" dude running the triple option at the Citadel. or the wishbone or whatever they were running back then, and he was putting up numbers. So yeah, Ben, and I have a good relationship with Ben. Good dude. And I think we've had him on here before. But yeah, so that's one of those picks out that I don't think, he was as good as he was. Probably a lot of people, he might slip their mind because he didn't have the NFL draft pick pedigree and stuff like that. But as far as
point of why we're doing this, right, is to make sure people know that when these guys were in high school, they were the talk of, the entire town.
Susquehanna Township guy. So, yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, and I'll tell you what, too, and I don't know if a lot of will remember his name, but there was a quarterback at Carlisle named Clem Johnson, who was one of those, unbelievable dual threat kids. He had an arm. Like we've seen some great quarterbacks, but Clem had an arm, and he didn't have much. There wasn't much around Clem. That was the kicker. But this guy would keep Carlisle in games when they shouldn't have been in games, just because of his athleticism. And he's a guy that kind of came to my mind, pretty quick. Central Dolphins.
He ended up having a good career at NC State, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And there were a couple other guys too. Obviously Harrisburg's had just a ton of really interesting guys who were, maybe didn't get all the accolades they deserved, but Josh Potts was a guy back. It was in the late, right about 2007 or 8, I think, somewhere around there. Just one of the toughest football players that I've seen. He was a D-back kind of, just kind of like a Ronnie Lott kind of guy. Just would smack you. Brandon Ware obviously was a great lineman for Harrisburg. Adrian Robinson, which you guys know the name, is another guy to keep, that I thought of. We talk a lot about Chase Edmonds. I mean, pound for pound, that kid might be, he's certainly one of the more engaging football players that I've covered, just because he was undersized and just because he was pretty much the offense for CD East, and he still rushed like a bull, and he still rushed for 14, 15, 1,600 yards a couple times. He was another guy that was just so much fun to watch. And, I think a couple quarterbacks I think that are, Andrew Ford from Cedar Cliff. Cedar Cliff, of course, had Adam Brenneman too, who had an unbelievable high school career at Cedar Cliff. Zach Frazier, who went to UConn, played at UConn, Mechanicsburg, held all kind of records at Mechanicsburg. Was really a highly, highly recruited kid. And a couple guys too that also come to mind. Couple CV guys, Kevin Snyder.
That's the one that everyone in the area always mentions Kevin Snyder as being.
Kevin Snyder was one of my favorite players ever because he was so far ahead of the game in all ways. Like, he was a great interview. He was a great kid. He was a great teammate. And he was I nicknamed him the Predator because he always found the ball. He always found the ball, and he could put a lick on you. Had a real good career at Rutgers, and spent a little time in the NFL.
He's now a Kent State linebackers coach too.
Yes. So he was another guy too. So there's a lot of guys that, that maybe you forget about them because they were early in the early in 2000s. But and I think, a guy like Stone Saunders has an argument to be on that list too with what he did.
Well, you got the last 2 years, you've had guys break all of the state's all-time records. And Alex,
so they have an argument too. But we're trying to make sure that the early guys in this 25 too are in the discussion. Because like I said, it's easy to recall the last 10 years. You can make a hell of a list just in the last 5 years, to be honest with you. But, making sure that we find those guys too that are maybe 20 years out of high school now, and do them justice too. So yeah, it's going to be difficult, but it'll be a fun ride.
I always like to sit back and watch and see the names people throw out there too, in the discussion around it. So that'll be fun. What else we got going on, guys? Anything else going on? Anything we need to talk about this week?
Well, we're lucky enough to have a guest.
Yeah, you know what? We do have a guest, a fast one.
He's always fast moving. Now he's in a car.
Let's
right.
get to that. Let's get to our guest this week, Bishop McDevitt, running back Jerome LaRue Jr.
All right, and we're here with our guest, Jerome LaRue Jr., another member of last year's state championship Bishop McDevitt Crusaders team. Jerome was one of the younger players on the team. We started following before he even played it down. He's one of those kids that colleges noticed quick, but we saw it on the field a little bit last year. We're going to see it even more the next 3 years. Jerome, just say hi to everyone. Thanks for coming on to the podcast.
Yes, sir. What's up, y'all?
I talked to you before last year, and you come from a football family, right? Your dad played running back, and obviously you played running back. I thought it was a really cool thing you told me about how your dad kind of got you learning some of the ins and outs of the positions, sort of the homework he made you do. Can you kind of tell people what your dad, Jerome Sr., asked you to do to kind of learn a little bit about the running back position?
Really just made me study film of NFL people, like NFL players, college players. One college player was Nick Singleton. That's who I really look up to. So I really just study film, and what I see on their film, I put it on to my what I do.
Yeah, I remember you made me feel pretty old when you said, old time guys like LaDainian Tomlinson, because I grew up on LaDainian, but he's some fun footage as well. In terms of putting that onto film, for a guy who was playing behind two senior running backs, you did still get a chance to flash kind of your ability a little bit last year. Can you kind of take me through what your emotions were kind of after last year? You got a chance a little bit. Probably the least you got to handle the rock in a bit, but you also see your team win. What was kind of the experience like for you last year?
It was a good experience. It was just the team. At first, we really wasn't a team, but during the season, we became a team. And that was just amazing.
I talked to a lot of guys. Obviously, all of us talked to a lot of guys at McDevitt during the season. And a lot of them pointed to that state college game. How important was just sort of learning from that loss? I probably didn't feel like a loss, but it was such like a high-end game. And obviously the back and forth scoring, 55-53 final, which is a crazy, crazy game up there at State College. Was that sort of the turning point too, where you guys sort of said, okay, listen, we need to roll this up a notch or two to kind of get done what we want to get done?
As soon as we lost that game, something just switched in between all of us. And that's when I said we became as a team. That's when we really became a team, and we really flipped the switch.
You were obviously in a very heavy backfield. The football had to be spread around to a lot of high-end athletes. And obviously you got some chances, but probably Dan Aludis did not as many as you probably wanted to. Being your first year there, what was it like to kind of keep it compartmentalized, if you will? You know what I mean? Because every running back wants the ball every single down. What was it like for you to kind of be, play sort of I don't want to say backup, that's not the right term, but sort of like a supporting role?
Change of pace.
When you're used to being a featured role.
It was a very good experience because I was behind people, veterans that are teaching me stuff that I learned. And I was learning from them how to run the ball because I really didn't know how to run the ball. And Coach Weck said that. But I was really just trying to learn the ball, learn how to run for real.
When you say learning how to run, what does that entail? Because nobody on this panel other than you would ever be considered a running back candidate.
Learning how to use the open field and use your speed. That's really the key part. Use your speed, learn how to run the ball.
Is it tough to be patient when you're running back too? You have to be, you have to let the holes develop. I mean, it would seem to me like a guy with your speed and your wiggle, if you will, wants to just attack. And obviously that's not the best course of action on every play. Is it tough for you to kind of be patient?
Yeah, that's really something I had to work on. I watched film on Le'Veon Bell and how patient he was. And that's who I really learned that from.
He was as patient as anyone, right? He would literally just stand in the backfield and wait for people to run by him. But for listeners who aren't that familiar with their game, I think when we're talking speed, we're talking some of the best speed probably in the entire state that you have at running back. I think last year you timed at 4.41. I don't know if you have a different top time now. Has that been kind of not a challenge, but do you kind of hear people kind of talking about you like, hey, that guy's got 4.41 speed? They're, watch out for the fast running back. Do defenses kind of play you differently knowing how fast you are?
Yeah, most definitely.
I was reading Dan's story on you from back in 2024 when you had that offer and you hadn't even played it down yet. And I know I read about your dad, I guess, Adam McCaskey, which isn't really known as a football powerhouse. getting, I guess, a chance to play at Arizona. I don't think Arizona worked out for him. I know I read too where you said that he taught you a lot about his process and what he went through and what to do and what not to do. What's that relationship been like? How valuable has that been? What has Dad taught you about taking from his process and instilled in you?
He's really been teaching me about focus in school, pray to God, really like lock in. When it's time to lock in, you need to lock in and stay humble.
How key and how important is that in a process like this? When you're a young guy, how old were you when you got that first offer? I mean, we tell people you didn't play a varsity down, but how old were you?
I was 14 years old.
What's it like when you're 14, you get a big college offer? It's got to be pretty special to have somebody who's kind of knows a thing or two and is wise to the do's and don'ts of things too in your corner. That's got to be invaluable.
It's very valuable.
So you got the first offer at 14. Who was that again?
Virginia Tech.
Off the top of your head, who can you remember that you have offers from?
Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Cincinnati, Indiana, Pitt, Marshall, and yeah, that's
How old are you now?
15.
That's pretty impressive for 15.
How are you kind of balancing the recruiting process? Last year, obviously, you got the offer, but this has probably been your first full summer, doing camps, kind of having all those offers and everything. Can you kind of take us through your schedule and, what it's like? Most people in this world don't even know what it's like to get an offer from, a Division III school. So take us through what a summer as someone who's being pursued by all these schools is kind of like.
So I wake up, I do everything I do. Like I brush my teeth, I do everything. I work out. I wake up at like 5 a.m. I stretch, I work out, I lift, and then I go to practice. And after practice, I go work out again, and then I go home, stretch, and then go to sleep.
Wasn't Saquon Barkley out at Bishop McDevitt yesterday?
Yes, he was.
You didn't get a chance to try to pick his brain a little bit. I know he was busy, but you didn't get a chance to try to, get some one-on-one with him.
Oh no, I was at training.
Oh, there you go. Well, busy. Yeah. Business. That's the thing about McDevitt, man. I know they host these camps, but I know past year they've hosted camps with Miles Sanders as well. Obviously, Saquon Barkley's dropping in. Ricky Waters is from there, obviously, and Sean McCoy, a great lineage of running backs coming through there.
How cool was it last year? I think Ricky Waters kind of posted that Instagram video of all the McDevitt running backs. We just had Nazir Jones-Davis on a couple weeks ago, and I always like asking the McDevitt kids. I mean, there's literally not a high school in America with a better running back legacy in terms of the top level talent. How proud are you to kind of be the next in line to kind of be one of those guys? When you see LaShawn McCoy at the Harrisburg game, you see what Nazir and Maurice have done. How proud are you to kind of keep that tradition going? And do you feel like there's sort of, a responsibility to keep it going as well? Is that why you're working so hard?
Yeah, actually, LaShawn McCoy had coached me up on the sideline during some of my runs. And that was just amazing because not many people will get that opportunity. He's in the Hall of Fame. So like people that's in the Hall of Fame to coach you up. So yeah, it was just amazing experience.
That must be pretty cool for you too, because you're not obviously Derrick Henry size running back. You're more of the guy who kind of make people miss, and that's kind of what he did too. Does he kind of see a little bit of himself in you and kind of give you some tips in that?
He gives me some tips.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And we're talking with Bishop McDevitt running back Jerome LaRue Jr. Jerome, I want to turn attention to this season. Obviously, the bar has been set rather high by the Crusaders by winning the 5A championship. Obviously, a lot of talent coming back left. What's sort of been the mojo now in summer practice? You mentioned practice today and obviously training. What's the mood been like so far? I know it's hot and sticky out there, but you guys got to get work in.
Yeah, the mood has just been like, we just got to defend our title. We just got to get it, go get it, and repeat it. Just keep repeating.
How's Sebastian Williams been looking? Because that's the question, everyone from the outside's asking, right? How are you gonna replace someone like Stone who set all those records and everything? But we hear internally, everyone's been really high on Sebastian and, the type of quarterback he is. How have you kind of seen him work? It's obviously one of the big mysteries for McDevitt next year.
Sebastian, he's actually a good quarterback. He can move, he can throw. He's just a mobile quarterback. Like, I don't know how to explain it. He can really do everything for him.
Yeah, he's one of those dual threats. That's going to be fun to watch.
You're technically a veteran now. You're not a young buck anymore. Are there any guys that we should be looking out for that you see? Obviously, it's early in practice. I know camp is still about maybe a month away, but the season's, only 6 weeks away. Is there somebody we should be looking out younger than you on the squad that maybe we ought to take notice to right away?
My whole offensive line, I give my praise to my whole offensive line.
Do you have to buy them lunch at some point, to kind of feed the beast?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Yeah.
let them eat.
Yeah, exactly. You want them big, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say is Dan is really uptight now because he's a Pitt grad. So he's already got it in his mind that you might be, matriculating to Pitt. So
same.
just saying.
Yeah. Well,
Dan, I got a surprise for you.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
There's already a lot of Central PA guys up there, right? So
It's a good pipeline for sure.
Yeah. Jerome, I also wanted to bring up one of the reasons we were kind of talking, you're on the podcast, is because you mentioned that this weekend you're going to be doing some work in the community and feeding some homeless people. And I just want to ask you about that. How important is that to you, doing work off the field? Everyone's obviously, when you're a football player of your caliber, everyone's going to focus on what you do on the field. But why is that an important part of your life as well?
It's very important because ever since I was little, I always been giving back. Like I always give out blankets to when it was cold outside, blankets, coats, everything. So I just really give out because God gave me what I can give, but I also know He could take it. So that's why I give out.
That's awesome. And guys, yeah, if Jerome LaRue Jr. can do it, and he's busy every week, I think a lot of other people can do it too. So that's pretty awesome. Jerome, I think we just want about, like 15 minutes of your time. So we'll let you go from here. Before we go, just let everyone know your socials so they can follow you, keep up with your recruitment and your Huddle Film, Twitter, Instagram. Just give us your handles.
I appreciate y'all guys. My Instagram name is Jerome_Hellcat_LaRue. My Twitter is Jerome_J5 LaRue.
Awesome, guys.
Hellcat. I mean, that's speed, folks.
Yeah. That's speed.
That's speed. I like it.
That's a good one.
Jerome, keep it up, man. It's good that you got your dad there with you, man, and it seems like you got a good head on your shoulders and a ton of talent. So just keep it up, man. Keep doing good things, man. All right, guys, that was Bishop McDevitt running back Jerome LaRue Jr. We've had a couple Bishop McDevitt running backs on here the last couple weeks. The Hellcat, guys, he's only a sophomore. He's got 7 college offers. What did we take from that? What did we learn from our interview with Jerome?
He's a kid that's got a good head on his shoulders, about what he wants, about the process of going from that 0 down college offer kid to becoming, an all-state level player that then goes on to college. I think Ep and I could both kind of ask them about how tough is that when you have those offers to kind of accept, hey, I'm still not the guy yet. I still have to be behind these 2 really talented running backs. And he gave the correct answer. It's like, hey, listen, I have to learn how to, that was funny to hear him say, I have to learn how to run the football, because a layman like me is just watching a fast guy run. I'm like, I think he knows how to run the football, but he's right that you do have to learn kind of the intricacies of the position that you didn't really have to learn when you're playing middle school kids, right? And I think he seems like a kid that's ready to learn, ready to improve. And I might not be this year where he puts up the big numbers because the whole running back room is back, but I think by the time he's a junior or senior, he's going to be putting together some crazy games for the Crusaders.
Yeah, that's why I asked him about the word patient, being patient. And did he have to learn that? Because, think about having offers when, you have a little tiny resume so far. Obviously, it's going to grow, as he gets older. But he has to be patient when he gets the ball. He has got to be patient, to make the plays. And now, there just seems to be, it's just, I don't know how I would have felt pressure-wise, having that sort of label, as the next big thing. I know everybody wants that, but, getting to that point and being prepared mentally and obviously physically, he seems like he's doing all the right things to when he gets that quote unquote featured sort of spot, and he'll be ready for it. And in the meantime, he'll do if he gets 5 touches, he's going to make the most of those 5 touches. And, so he's, I think he said all the right things. I think he's prepared for that breakout whenever that comes. Maybe it's not this year. I don't know. But, football's a dangerous game, one bad ankle turn or something like that, one injury, and all of a sudden now you're thrust into it. And it seems like he'll be ready for the moment.
Yeah, I'm excited. We've had a couple guys who kind of walked that same path, which, I can remember, and I'm sure you can remember, and probably even you, Dan, their time when you didn't really get a lot of kids getting offers before they played varsity football. But, Just off the top of my head, we had Micah Flowers get that, and he turned out to be a pretty darn good player. He's at Akron now, just transferred from Penn State. And then Stone Saunders was in that boat. Obviously, he's at Kentucky. And Messiah Mickens, who's the Penn State commit in Harrisburg. So we had a couple kids around
as well,
here.
I believe.
Yeah.
I forget if
I
Lex
don't know if Lex did or not. But it's becoming more prevalent. At the same time, it's still special enough that when they do get an offer before they play, it kind of puts that target on them. Everybody wants to see what's so special about this kid. Well, this kid's got some speed to him, and obviously he's got a pretty good head on his shoulders. So it'd be fun to see where he goes over the next couple of years. McDevitt probably has one of the top backfields in the state. We had Nas Davis on here, Davis Jones or Jones Davis, who's going to Eastern Michigan. The other running back in that backfield, Maurice Barnes, is probably going to. It's a very good running back, but it's probably going to play linebacker in college. Got some big offers, I think, to play linebacker, and then you got Jerome. So special group there. It'll be interesting to see how they use them all. But overall, Dan, you were the first guy to write about Jerome, I think.
Yeah.
And he's kept it up. So it's been a fun story for us to follow. Make sure you check him out there. Do not check out the movie Friendship. Dan, the new EA Sports game is out. Are you buying it? So far, I'm seeing a lot of guys saying they really slowed the game down this year, and they're not happy with it.
I saw that the rosters are all wrong, that they don't have any of the freshmen. A lot of the people are mislabeled and everything. So I'm going to wait like a month or whatever to buy it when everything's fixed.
I actually won a copy of it last night, but I'm actually going to wait, I think, until, I'm busy with work anyway. We got a lot of work to do, but I'll download it so they get a patch or two coming in. But I might get Akron to play you so I can get Marquise Williams and Micah Flowers and beat you with those guys.
I heard your South Carolina quarterback's untouchable in the game, those Sellers.
Well, after your Patriots bomb out this year and Drake May is terrible, he might be your quarterback next year.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I think we're good.
He might be the Colts quarterback, though.
That's true. That is true.
Or Arch Manning.
People are saying he's not going to even enter the draft, that he's not actually.
No, it's destined to be. It's destined to be. People. Who is people? People is Steve Spurrier.
That's draft people. They don't like him that much. I think he's overrated.
What does Steve Spurrier know about football?
Nothing, because he's like a child.
All
right, here comes the Bama. Here comes the Mike.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah,
Alabama and our producer, Megan Heaton, coming out here.
I saw him at the 1999 SEC Championship in Atlanta. I was in the $1 Million Band then. And when Alabama basically scored 2 touchdowns back to back, he just threw down his cap and stormed off.
That's the old ball coach for you.
If you can get one of Steve Spurrier's ball caps at an auction house, it's probably good for 5 figures at least.
I'll go back and tell 19-year-old me that.
You know, I had an experience with one time, Lou Holtz, Epler.
Oh, I wouldn't want to experience with Lou Holtz.
Lou Holtz was not the most media friendly.
Really? That's shocking.
That is shocking.
Yeah. We'll wrap up this podcast for this week with after Megan's burial of the old ball coach. Dan, this award-winning podcast.
Yes.
Dan, tell them how to find you on social media, my man.
_Sostek, as always.
Yep. Tell them how to find you.
I am at 3Jacker.
Megan, tell them how to find you. You always got a lot going on.
Let's see. You can find me at Savvy Literate anywhere, unless you are a fan of Steve Spurrier, and then you can just contact Brian.
Yeah, and if you're the people who put trackers on their car, you probably already know where to find her stuff. And I am at Sports by B Linder on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And also be sure to check us out on PennLive. Like I said, the guys' media day is going to come up soon in the end of the month. And that usually means we're going to have a lot more football start coming onto the website very soon. We've had a lot of commitments and offers and stuff like that up there for Central Pennsylvania. Going to start taking an eye and looking more statewide too. So follow us there, follow us on social media. And until next week, we'll see you guys then.